Welcome to Rauta's opinion videos, or more like random pondering, not so much ranting this time. The topic is obviously lyrics. The lyrics are essentially a very important part in many metal genres, and black metal is no exception. Quite the contrary, in fact, because a lot of people always keep saying ideology first, the lyrics are very important and all that stuff. Sometimes even giving the feeling or idea that music comes second and everything before that comes first. That is, in order to figure out which ones are true and not posers or wannabes or whatever, you obviously have to pick a little bit of that mind. Now, for a lot of band, that obviously goes through interviews, even live settings and all that stuff. But not every band is possible to see live, and some people don't even care about seeing bands live. And of course, there are bands which don't really do interviews. So you go for the lyrics, right? Easily said and done. You get the album, see the picture, okay, it's legit, it's solid, we're taking a look, okay, there is a pentagram, there is an upside cross or whatever on the cover, and you're like, okay, this is the real deal. And now you maybe put the music on, but in order to figure out whether or not these guys are just bunch of goofballs, idiots, whatever, or just plain wrong in terms of your own worldview and all that stuff, you start browsing the cover sheet, you're reading the liner notes, picking up the lyric content, whatever there is, a booklet. Now comes the hard part. It's not in English or whatever is your chosen language, but let's assume you are able to understand English because you're watching this video, you're able to read it, you're able to understand simple lines, sometimes called poetry, in the terms of music and all that stuff. So you're reading. But those lyrics are in a foreign language. What is this sorcery? What is this magical context? This doesn't make sense. I mean, the alphabet can be very Western-like. Not Cyrillic letters, not some Japanese or Chinese or any kind of Asian language, not Arabic or Persian, whatever. It's just right there. But the words are weird. They are foreign language. Maybe they are Norwegian. Maybe they are Swedish. Maybe they are some badass Hungarian language, whatever. Of course, especially in the world of black metal. A lot of those lyrics, and now I'm referring especially to the 90s, but not, of course, limiting myself to that. A lot of those lyrics were in Swedish, were in Norwegian, or some bizarre language, in some cases Finnish. And you're there like lost, because back in the days, of course, you didn't have a Google translation tools or whatever. You didn't even have those dictionaries right there, because who would have a Norwegian English dictionary just in order to read booklets full of lyrics and all that stuff? I mean, not every album came with the booklet anyway. Not with lyrics anyway, if there was a booklet. But nowadays it's different. And before we get to, those solutions, which are quite obvious if you really think about it, let's talk about the idea that you don't understand the lyrics. How much does it bother you? I mean, with the stupid, silly lyrics, which you can easily understand, and by just, browsing the booklet, it's easy to figure out, okay, the music is quite good, but these lyrics are so silly that I'm just gonna trade off this piece of CD or vinyl or whatever. Or maybe you're gonna trash it because you find like, hey, these are Christian lyrics, I'm an atheist, or whatever. And you're like, okay, not gonna cut it for me. Or maybe you're, I don't know, a woke person, you're politically aware of things, and you're like, hey, I'm able to enjoy these melodies, I'm able to enjoy these screamy vocals, whatever, but these lyrics are still racist to me, or just plain ass dumb in other ways. Now, I'm not gonna say whatever you should be, I'm just merely trying to get inside, a little bit of peek inside your head and figuring out what you might be thinking when you see those booklets you cannot understand. So, is it okay if a band is silly, dumb, racist, whatever you don't see fitting in your own worldview when you don't understand the lyrics? Or maybe you are racist and you're looking for that kind of content, and you're like, okay, this band is way too woke for me, and you're not gonna continue listening to that band because you understand the lyrics. How about the other way? What if you cannot really understand the lyrics? They're Norwegian, they sound cool, they sound like some orcs from J.R. Tolkien books is, singing those vocals, and the language is as bizarre as you're taking a look at those lyric sheets, the booklet or whatever, and you're like, okay, this band is now twice as interesting because I'm not able to understand it. So it must be something cool. I mean, look at those weird umlauts. A's and O's with dots, or A's with slashed, whatever. And you're pondering, I really can't understand the lyrics, but these corpse paint pictures, they are badass. Those spikes and nails, even more badass. Inverted crosses, check, check, check. Pentagrams, whatever symbols there might be, woke or anti-woke, doesn't matter. If they with your worldview, of course the lyrical content must be aligned with that. Or does it? So what to do when you don't understand foreign lyrics? Do you give your imagination a purpose? Do you give your imagination shot at like, hey, I'm gonna just imagine things to fit my ways because I don't want to enter the state of cognitive dissonance. If you don't know what that is, I urge you to read about it. But put it this way. Sometimes when a person buys something and then later on finds out that it's pure shit, but because the money is already spent, an emotional investment has been made, it's hard to dislike something that you kind of already like. For example, you buy a piece of plastic known as a CD or vinyl. You like the music, you like the graphics, you like everything except when you get that the message is directly opposite of yours. Maybe the worldviews clash hard time and you're like, man, I am not able to like it, except if I give myself a nice excuse. Then it's fine. And then your friend comes in like, why are you listening to this poser shit? You're anti-Christian and you're listening to Christian metal. And you're like, it's the cognitive dissonance kicking in, but I'm just gonna pretend I didn't understand whatever my friend is saying. I didn't understand any of the lyrics here, even though I could just use dictionary or translation tools. Now, I read once upon a time, not too long time ago in fact, an interesting comment, or maybe I heard it, I don't remember, it doesn't matter really, about the lyrics you don't understand. And I think this person was giving a rather interesting point, or making this point, like, if I don't understand the lyrics, my mind let me do the trick, like creating the idea what it could be, like filling the blanks basically. So once you like the image of the band, once you like the graphics, once you like the cover image and maybe song titles, maybe that much you can understand, or maybe they are in English even if the lyrics aren't, you can pretty much figure out and fill the blanks and go like, yeah, these must be some really, really interesting things. Now, thinking of this in hindsight, I think I've done it in the past myself without actually understanding. For example, today morning when I was driving my kid to school, I was blasting some old Isengard, Höstmörke, which means basically autumn darkness. And of course, back in the days when I was listening to some of those lyrics, I couldn't understand like half of it. Maybe roughly some ideas here and there, but I could totally bang my head to it because the music was there, the image was there, like everything was there. It was kind of a black metal, even though Isengard is basically more like folk metal, but you get the idea. It's still the guy from Darkthrone doing a side project with cool music, and of course the lyrics must be good too, right? Now, for example, the opening track, Neslepax, has Norwegian lyrics. Of course, I couldn't understand check shit about it, but I could understand enough that this was right up my alley. This was about the days after the so-called creation by God, like, 7 days God created, well, whatever, 6 days God created the world and blah, blah, blah. Then he took a rest or whatever bullshit from the Bible. And these are the lyrics afterwards, like fictionally once again, continuing with the idea like what happened afterwards. Of course, that must be good. And here there and with my friends, we were translating something we couldn't figure out, and it sounded really cool. But I would be lying if I said I understood 100%. Even now, so thinking about it, I might have misunderstood some of those lyrics. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got it all wrong. And I've been thinking the wrong ideas throughout the years with the idea in my head that I got it all okay. And of course, there are plenty of other bands, especially from Norway, who love their own language so much that a lot of those bands went with the lyrics that only they could understand. And were like, yeah, these must be real anti-Christian lunatics which we like, because all the images right there with the inverted crosses and with the skulls and whatever, corpse paints, nails, spikes, who knows, and arsons. There are plenty of reasons to believe in a band like, hey, this guy sounds solid, so he must be solid all the way. But you really couldn't tell if your neighbor was some serial killer or just batshit crazy drug dealer. But because he's a nice guy, opening the doors, talking to you nice things and all that stuff, you're gonna buy it. You're gonna believe it. And sometimes this is exactly where the cognitive dissonance comes kicking in. Now, my point here is, when you don't really understand some of the lyrics, your mind is trying to figure it out. Maybe some people are just gonna slide and say, I'm gonna ignore it. The music is good enough if I don't understand the lyrics, whatever. I mean, they could be about taking the trash out, whatever, or feeding your kittens. I couldn't care less if the music is good. And I kind of partially go with that. But there are of course bands which you like, and when the lyrics are kind of a bad, you just start facepalming and even thinking of selling the album because it's kind of a bothering you. So sometimes ignorance is bliss. Sometimes because you don't understand certain lyrics, it's easy to give an album a pass, even though you might be way more critical about it if you just could understand everything being said or written. And the same goes other ways. Sometimes because you understand the lyrics, even the quite okay band becomes somewhat better because the lyrics at least make a lot of sense even if the music is not that good. But that is never the problem. That is never the case with the bands you don't understand with the lyrics. Nowadays it's so much easier. You can just pretty much use Google Translator or go old school ways and pick a dictionary and just start going through them and figure out whether or not these lyrics are outright goofy or silly or stupid or just anti your ideology, whatever you have going on in your mind. You have plenty of solutions. Now comes the word called laziness. Do we really have the time and effort and energy and interest to do that? I mean, for example, we could just open a Metal Archive site, get the lyrics right there, and just copy paste it to Google Translation, so the solution is rather easy. Even if you don't have the CD and the dictionary right there between, and you don't have to do any kind of a scanning work, like scanning the lyrics here or writing them down manually. You could just do copy paste. Or just go and Google them. And sometimes there are translations already done for you. But I don't think we as a species, as a music listener fan base, I don't think we're that smart and, well, full of energy and time to do that. But once again, when there are those bizarre languages and maybe you're out of network reach, I couldn't really imagine that being the situation when you're watching this video anyway. But let's assume so. Maybe you're in a deserted island and you think 1 year after watching this video and we're like, damn, why I never bothered to read those talk lyrics when I had the chance and, used Google Translation tool. And now I'm here on the deserted island and fuck, I cannot translate those tools. What can I do? Can I really listen to the band anymore because I don't have a clue of the lyrics and I cannot really figure them out? No, that's probably something that you don't have in your mind when you're on a deserted island, but I don't know. Sometimes mind goes with a race. Or maybe you're on your deathbed and you're still struggling like, okay, that Sielunviolinen from Finland was my favorite band. I never got to translate those lyrics to myself. And now on my deathbed, I'm wondering, did I really understand that band right? Did I totally got it, what they were saying? I am gonna die without that knowledge. Or maybe I just beep the nurse here and, ask her to do the translation, or him, whatever. I don't know, but I still like to think that our imagination is a strong and powerful tool, and our own intuition helps us to guide us into the world that maybe based on the image, the photos or whatever, or maybe those interview parts, maybe we can actually figure out and fill out the blanks in a rather correct way. And maybe it will actually protect us too from, bad lyrics ruining otherwise a good album because we simply didn't have the time or energy to do the translation and check out the lyrics. Who knows? These are just some of the rambling ideas, some of the topics that came to my head recently because I was reading about it. And I'm curious to ask you. I'm curious to know, what do you think about foreign lyrics? Do you actually use dictionaries or translation tools to figure out those lyrics, or do you just don't give a damn? How is it do? What do you think about the lyrics, whether you understand them or not? Now it's your time to comment, and maybe, hopefully, this video gave you some ideas what to do when you're gonna figure out about your favorite band a little bit more. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to your comments and questions and answers later on. Take care. Bye-bye.